Hello, listeners, and welcome to Sin City Soundwaves, where we celebrate growing up in Las Vegas and our musical memories. Beyond the casinos and the showrooms are the locals. These are our friends, colleagues, neighbors, people we went to school with, work with, and see every day. We talk about how Las Vegas has changed and what's the same. We talk about the music we listen to now and what music reminds us of our youth. We talk about who we've seen in concert here in Las Vegas and who we'd like to see. And we ask that question, is there a quintessential Las Vegas song? And today I am very pleased to introduce our guest. Our special guest is Miss Paula Perkins, and she is visiting. She's not visiting. She's from Las Vegas. She and her brother, Reginald Perkins, was born into a family of educators. Her father was the first African-American superintendent for the Clark County School District, and her mother was a business teacher at the original Las Vegas High School in downtown Las Vegas. During her youth, she was a member of the Campfire Girls. She belonged to 2 ballet companies as well as swim teams. She attended Chaparral High School, fellow classmate of mine, where she was also an honor student. She was on class committees. She was on the homecoming court. She was varsity song leader, a cheerleader. She was in Girls State and also Who's Who among American high school students. During her college years at Arizona State University, she was involved in the community. She did community service as a cheerleader in college. She was also a member of the Black Student Union and the Economics Club. She graduated with a bachelor's in economics. After college, she became a banker, obtained her stockbroker's license, and soon after became married and moved to Denver, Colorado, where she lived the majority of her married life. She had 2 daughters that are currently in their 4th and 2nd year, respectively, at the Kirk Kerkorian School of Medicine at UNLV. So back here in the Las Vegas Valley. She's a proud mama. She does post that on her social media. Paula is currently the assistant principal at our alma mater, Chaparral High School. She continues to inspire our community's youth through her organizations. I think she has the entire Greek alphabet after her name, after the spaghetti soup of her degrees. Let's Deus, LFD, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, AKA, excuse me. LFD presents young ladies to society through instilling values of community service, promoting higher education, and awareness of social graces. The young ladies are then presented at a debutante ball and are awarded various scholarships. She also is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Theta Omega chapter, where she proudly serves the Southern Nevada community aligned with her sorority's mission to be service to all mankind. While Ms. Perkins is a proud mother and enjoys celebrating her daughter's accomplishments, she also continues her passion to dance and is on the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces, the 2-time WNBA Las Vegas Aces, High Rollers Senior Dance Team. Welcome, Miss Paula Perkins, to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What an introduction. I love it. Thank you so much.
I'm sure you get a better introduction with the WNBA. I think it's a big
High roller.
right. That's right. That's right. So what other schools did you go to in the Valley besides Shap?
Elementary school, I went to Farron, which
Okay.
is in the zone for Chaparral, and I went to Woodbury. So
Okay.
Farron, Woodbury, and then Chaparral.
We celebrate music here because I love to talk about music. But
Yes.
do you remember the first piece of music that you bought for yourself, like with your own money?
I can't remember my first piece of music that I purchased, but
Okay.
I remember, I believe it was at Odyssey.
Odyssey
So,
Records.
Odyssey Records, and I believe it was 24 hours.
It
So
was
we
24
could go
hours.
there and just scroll and listen to music and talk. You might see someone in there. So, but I really can't remember what I purchased. I just can't. I do.
Okay. Do you miss Odyssey Records as much as a lot of us do?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It's nothing like I know you can stream and buy things online and all that kind of thing, but just to go in and see album covers and
Yes.
feel it, it's that used to bring us joy back then. I don't know why, but it did to be able to
Yes.
touch, feel, look at it, brought us joy.
Or walking into I have fond memories of walking into Odyssey and sometimes listening to something that you'd never heard before and
Yes,
hearing
it
the
would
new part.
yeah. Yeah. And you'd
And
be
the
like, what is that? What's playing?
staff
Yeah.
recommendation, or when there's the album covers outside and you could see
Yeah.
new album cover
Yeah.
art. And it was just mesmerizing to see the new album cover art. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to see if I can track down who owned Odyssey Records, if they still live here in the Valley, and interview them. I think that would be
Oh,
a
that would
great,
be a treat.
well,
Yeah.
that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try and see if I can track them down. So you don't remember your first piece of music. Do you remember, if you don't remember your first piece of music, do you remember the first time you became aware of like a particular artist you really liked when you were young, or about what age you kind of started hearing a particular genre of music? Or
Probably maybe around more like middle school, probably Woodbury,
okay,
probably. And that's probably due to the fact that I started in ballet companies then. was cheerleading then. And actually, I was also a swimmer. I forgot to tell you about that, but I was a synchronized swimmer. So we would
okay.
have to get music for our synchronized. So now I started to get more in tuned about music because I am performing to it or dancing or swimming to it.
And did you have to pick your own music for those things?
Most times, unless like with cheer or whatever competitions, we sit down and try to figure out what we're gonna do, but most times it's picked for us and a theme,
Okay.
you know? Yeah.
Did you have anything in particular you prefer
For what?
for
For
to synchronize to? Was it more upbeat,
it
classical,
well, like a lot of
pop?
times it would be like maybe if the theme was more like America or something like that, we would have symphonies and going off and then go into
Okay.
something else. Yeah,
Okay.
it
Okay.
on like the theme.
Okay. What's the first concert you remember going to see?
Now I have 2 in mind. I don't know which one was first.
Okay.
The Gap Band, okay, and
Okay.
that was at UNLV, I think in Artemis Ham Hall, I
Okay.
believe, and
Okay.
Houdini.
Okay.
He was a rap group. They sang "Friends," to do how many of us have okay, "Friends," and then I think that was, like, in a like a ballroom or something at the Flamingo. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It wasn't like a
Okay.
major it was like in a maybe like a ballroom or something in the Flamingo Hotel. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are
Who did
I
you
just
go
don't
with?
know which one was first.
Okay.
So that's
Who did you go with? Do you remember?
um yes, I went with some girlfriends for Gap, but Houdini I went with my boyfriend and he was from Valley High School.
Oh,
Football player, quarterback, all that.
oh, yeah. Yeah, you were a cheerleader. Of course you got to date the football
Oh
players.
gosh. Yeah, that's so Houdini was that one. Yeah.
Okay. Did you get the T-shirt? Did he buy you the T-shirt?
No, he did not.
Oh,
No.
you must not have
That's
dated him for very long.
well, actually, we dated through college, but we won't go there.
Oh,
But that's a whole nother
okay.
podcast. On relationships, high school.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of podcast.
Yes, it is.
I'd say for work. What was the best concert you've ever seen in Vegas?
I'm gonna equate that to performance.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and I could say it was one of the best performances I have been to, other than some friends of mine when we were in ballet companies together. They were showgirls after that or performed on the strip and what have you. but
Sure.
I don't know if you remember Ipitambi,
I
Tambe,
do. Yeah.
and, so it was an African, type performance, a story, and it was singing and live music
Yeah.
with drums, and I remember that was so moving for me to see that. I hadn't seen a Broadway because I believe it was on Broadway and came here, and I think it was at the Dunes, I'm not sure. I think it was at the Dunes, and I just loved it. It stuck with me for,
Yeah.
a long time. It'd be Tombe.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I really wanted to include that question is because if you recall, there was a time in Vegas where we didn't get a lot of performers here. They would come to like LA and then they would go to Phoenix and
Mhm,
we
mhm.
would get like some lounge acts and then they would not come here because the thought was a lot of people would go to LA that wasn't too far away
Right.
or they would go to Phoenix, but not really here. Here was
Mhm,
for more for people who maybe wanted to gamble and maybe
mhm.
go to a dinner and a show. But there was that didn't really come along till later that we became a destination to have
Right.
some performances.
Actually,
So
performances.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's a great one that you chose because that's
Yeah.
one of the few times we got a few more
Mhm.
international performances that
Could
were
actually
really
say it was
big.
off Broadway and came.
Correct. Because I even remember we had some international Spanish performances as well, and some flamenco performances like that as well that came through
Mhm.
at that time too, in the mid 80s that were really dynamic.
Or we used to, with the ballet company, I was really sad to see the Aladdin not be the Aladdin anymore because we used to perform there, quite a bit. I miss the Aladdin, but that's off topic.
I do too. That
That's
was another one that I was very sad when the Aladdin no longer existed because that used to be the standard for
yeah.
anybody who came. That was where we went. I saw a lot of great concerts there. Like,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
I could just list them off. And I
Yeah.
even miss being able to have tickets now. We used to get the ticket
Mhm.
stub, but I used to keep my ticket stubs.
Big
And now
steps.
they're all
It's
electronic.
on your
And
phone.
I don't even have that.
Nothing's like nostalgic anymore. That sounds like when we were
You're
talking
right.
about the beginning, seeing the album, looking at,
Yes.
reading.
The liner notes.
Yeah, it was just,
Yeah, holding that while you listen to the
yeah,
music
it was
and
just felt
reading
something
through
holding
it.
it.
Walking down memory lane, right?
Yeah.
So what artist is emblematic of your Vegas memories? If you hear that piece of music, what takes you like right back to a certain age or maybe to your sophomore, junior year of high school? Is there any piece of music that does that? Because I have some that take me right back to junior year, good or bad, takes me right back in.
Probably because I was a performer, cheerleader, and dancer and all of that. When at games and whatever's will rock you, we will rock you and stomp it. And I always equate to the songs we would put on to get the crowd up or we're the champions. We would play it because all those they play that now, but that came out when we were in school.
That's right.
That was
That's
when
right.
it first came out, and they use those
Yeah.
songs now, but when it first
That's
came out, "We're champions, and we'll rock you, and bite the dust." There when
so
we
the
were in
Queen
school,
songs. So Queens, we are the
Phoenix,
champions.
champions, yeah,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. So I was in the band and listeners, yes. So our listeners who may be outside the Las Vegas Valley or listeners who maybe not come from Las Vegas may not know enough about Chaparral High School that our fight song was the Magnificent Seven. So to this
Right.
day, in
Yep.
my sleep, I can
Mhm,
probably play the Magnificent Seven, and I
mhm,
have not played it, and I don't even want to know how many years. But
mhm.
I can probably still, my fingers in my sleep can probably play that song,
Right.
and we could probably all still sing it because
Perfect.
we could perfectly just do it. And we had 7 different performing groups that would get on that field for the Magnificent Seven. We had the tall
Mhm.
flags, the short flags, the
Right.
cheerleaders, the song leaders, the band, the Thundering Herd. We had 7 different performing groups, and it was truly
It was
impressive.
magnificent. It was very yes.
And we filled the whole field up. And
Yes, we did.
we did. We
We
filled the whole
did.
field.
They don't feel it up
And we
now.
no, I
Yeah.
just don't think they have the presence or enough people at the school that try out or do the performing groups.
Yeah.
But I do have vivid memories of the football games where the cheerleaders or the song leaders would ask the band, "Hey, play this." And oftentimes we would, but every once in a
Right.
while we'd play. You guys would get all excited and they would play something different. They'd go, "Hey, sir,
Right.
something different."
Right. When I was the captain, I used to actually go up to the stands and talk and be like, "Can you just please play this? Yeah. Can you play this first, please?" You'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no, okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, our drummers, our thundering herd were really
Oh,
impressive. The
right.
drummers were incredible. Yeah, they were really impressive. They just, yeah, they were fabulous. Where did you hang out in high school? Were all with these little groups where the people hung out? They all hung out in different
Well,
places.
um,
Or did you not want to say?
biking circle was a hangout. I don't know if you know where that is.
Yes, I do.
But I don't, back then we did a lot of bonfires. Biking circle was one, and you'll probably be cutting this. We would drink there. The 7-Eleven that was right there by Jack and the Crack, we used to sit there and ask for adults to buy liquor. They were big
Did you
house
ever ditch
parties.
college? Did you ever ditch and go to the lake and go to Nelson's Landing or go up to Mount
You know
Charleston?
what? I'm gonna have to say I did not. As you probably know, a lot of people had their eyes on me most times. My parents being who they are, and
Yeah,
mom, dad, that's just something I'd be like, "I'll see you guys later." The only time I
yeah,
really ditched was
yeah,
senior ditch day, and I don't even know what we did. I got in
yeah,
trouble then because I knew one of our assistant principals, and she called my mom, and I already told my mom because she was at Vegas High School. I was like, "Mom, I'm not going to school. I'm just letting you know." They still
yeah,
called her. I'm like, "Really?" So that's what I was dealing with. I'm not
yeah,
gonna do that
yeah,
because phone calls will be made, and
yes.
yeah,
I was one of the group that was one of those that we told our friends, "Oh, sure, we're going to ditch," and then we did it. Because we were too afraid to get in trouble, or that
yeah,
that
you
would
get
be
all wild up. Mhm.
or that would be the time that because I had all the honors and AP classes that I just knew that those would be the day that the teachers were going to pull the pop quizzes or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. And then you heard the horror stories. That was when so and so got sick or drank
Anchor
too much or got into an accident and the police
accident.
had to show up. And I just knew my luck. So,
Yeah, I was like, "My luck, I'll be on the news.
yes.
I'll be on
Yes.
the news."
So, I saved my craziness for the weekends and after hours. So yeah, I'm not saying yeah, that's a different podcast. Are there places you miss or things that you miss about that time in Vegas or things that you miss back in the day that we
Well,
don't have anymore?
I miss how it felt like. Now, I don't know if it was because the time and the age, but it felt I really didn't feel a lot of discrimination or anything back then. I don't know if it was
Yes.
I just felt like we were more like a community and we were more accepting. I might be wrong just from who I hung out with, but it just seems like we were just more gracious and we didn't get in a lot of fights. I'm only saying this because of being in the position I am in now. I was like, this is
Yeah.
not how we used to be. And I don't know if it's phones or what have you, but we used to want to act more mature when we would
Yeah.
go out because you were talking about those lounge shows, right?
Yeah.
We would want to, and I'm just gonna say this, we would be juniors or seniors, dress appropriately, act appropriately so we could go to the maximum. I think it was called the maximum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
And
into the
that's
lounge show and have a two
yeah.
drink minimum and sit down and have a cocktail.
Yes. Yeah. Not
I'm
get kicked
saying
out.
that I'm saying that out loud, but
Yeah.
we were underage, but we wanted to be mature, not, bring attention to ourselves, sagging,
Yeah.
wearing, looking ridiculous. We wanted to do things and
Yeah.
experience things. So we're going to act
Yeah.
accordingly. And we would
Yeah.
actually get in. I forgot where
Yeah.
that was. It was like, I think that was on Flamingo Maximum Hotel by
Yeah.
Barbary Coast. Like it was in front by Barbary Coast. It just seems going to our dinners before homecoming, before dances, going together and actually going to the dance. Nowadays, like when my kids were at Palo, I think one year they didn't even go to the dance. they'll just do all other stuff but go to the dance. And we used to at
Well,
least go and just spend some time, do a couple before we go hang out, but we're gonna go. It's just different. It's just different.
and we had our big events at those casinos, right?
Yes.
We had ours at the casinos.
Yes.
We and you were on those committees. We had to be adults and go talk to the heads of
Yes.
the casinos and
Yeah.
whoever was in charge to say we're going to be responsible young adults and
Yeah.
present ourselves at
There's not
these.
a lot of casinos anymore. They do it at just little places or yeah.
We had ours at the big
At the
casinos and we went there for dinner and we
yeah.
went there afterwards and we
Yes.
held ourselves
Different.
accordingly.
I
Yeah.
miss those type of days.
I've talked to a lot of our former classmates, and you're not the only one to say that. Even a lot of them said, even the discrimination, we just didn't have that. We all just hung out together and
Yeah. It
just, we
just
were like a product of Gen X, which raised ourselves too. So we just all hung out together. Like we were all in this together. So we just
yeah.
all hung out together. We did
Yeah.
everything together as a group. We didn't look askance at each other. It was, let's just all
Yeah.
pull together. I don't remember
Well, I'm
any of
glad you
us
feel that way
having,
too. Like I said, I don't know if
yeah,
it was the group I was in, but we just, to me, it wasn't like I'm feeling now in the high
yeah,
schools. It's,
yeah, no.
it's not what I'm feeling, you know?
Even when I taught high school, I don't remember even I go back and I look at the movies that they make about high school, and that was not my experience. So, what is a song that you really liked when maybe you were younger, that maybe you've listened to now that you're older, that maybe doesn't hold the same appeal, that maybe you listen to now and you look back and go, wow, what was I thinking? I really thought that was great. And now it's not so much.
This is going to be embarrassing because one of
Okay.
cheerleaders, like we were partying at her house one time and the song came on and I fell in love with it. And I still would think about it to this day, but it's not appropriate.
Okay.
And I had to do research because I didn't know who the artist was, but the lyrics were, I would like you better if we slept together. So I don't know if you know the song, but it has a good beat. That was kind of like our era. We would
Yeah.
dress Madonna-ish and
Yeah.
all of that. And I did research and it was Romeo Void
Okay. The
because
Romeo Lloyd
I knew
song?
you probably wouldn't know it, but that song, and of course that's not appropriate. There's no way now sleeping because after we went to college, it was like AIDS came out and
Right.
all sorts of things. And we're talking about, I like you better if we just slept together. If anybody could like, let's just sleep together first. But the song is a good song. You'll have to go and listen to it after we speak. Let's go.
Maybe when
I think it's never. I think what's called probably the song that's like a verse. It's probably
okay.
never, probably because it'd be never say never,
Never.
never say never or something. Never say never. But I'm sure you could find it.
Never Say Never by Romeo Void. We don't always pick songs for what they mean. Sometimes we just,
So,
when we're young, right?
oh, and I forgot to talk about our hangouts at New York Pizza for lunch.
Oh my gosh.
New York Pizza. And
New York.
I was part of our last homecoming. I didn't spear it up. I was like, I'll be a part of it. So our
Okay.
last get together for alums for my year, 84, our class, the first day we went to what's the golf place? Top Golf. And
Top
that was a
golf.
hit. So I was like, that was great. But New York Pizza came to Stony's. So one of our nights was Stony's.
Oh,
And they came to Stony's and had pizza in there for us. It was like so cool. The original owners, all that.
John Arena. Little shout
Yeah.
out to John. Yeah.
Yeah. New York pizza. That was so fun.
Got to give a little shout out to John, right?
Yeah.
He was like best friends of all of us at the time, and then he
Yeah.
went and sold it. So a little story about John. His ears may be burning, right? When my boys were young, they took karate, and John Arena was one of their senseis because he taught karate. And I did
Oh,
not realize that he owned New York pizza. And then, of course, he sold it and then started Metro Pizza. And
Oh,
then
yeah, that's right.
so I didn't really quite put the connection together until I walked into, because when he owned it, but then he was letting other people make the pizzas.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Put the two together, and I'm like, wow, I've actually known him a lot longer than I realized, because
Yeah,
he was part of my high school lunch, time for quite a
right.
while there. We had a great time in the 80s, right? We had open
He
lunch.
did. Open lunch, now closed. You can't go
Yeah.
off
We had third period donut runs and all kinds of.
where it's the I think we actually, in the early '80s, still had a smoking
We did. We had a
in the ear
smoking
in
area on
the
our
the early
campus.
'80s, I think.
We did.
I
We
d
did.
I didn't go over there, but
Yeah. I hung out there because I was the girl who made straight A's, and all my boyfriends were the bad boys who hung out in the smoking area.
oh,
So in between classes, I was out there with all the bad boys. The funny thing about that is all the teachers who smoked would come out and stand in the smoking area.
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they would stand out there and smoke cigarettes with all the
Oh
students,
my
which was
gosh,
funny.
that's
Yeah,
weird.
it was very strange. It was very strange because, of course, what's the word I'm looking for? The cliche is the kids who are in the smoking area are the ones who usually get in trouble in class or are not
Yeah.
applying themselves, which there is some truth
Mhm.
to the stereotype. That's where the stereotypes come from.
Right.
But they're out there making friends with them, and then in class, the next one they're telling them to pay attention. Yeah. So, and then of course I'm at home getting the why are you hanging out with the bad boys? Because they're
Right.
the fun ones, and they're
Right.
the ones with the long, pretty hair, and they're the ones playing rock and roll. And that was my little realm of defiance. And so, anyway,
I walked the
so
other way. That wasn't me over there.
yeah. Do you have a song or album that
Mhm.
you think is the most underrated?
Underrated?
Yeah, that you're like,
Mhm.
this is really underrated and people should really appreciate this more. Do you think there's one that's out there that's really overrated that you're like, why does everybody really like this? And I don't understand its appeal.
You like currently?
Yeah, could be currently
I don't really look at albums anymore. My taste has now
changed.
is a culmination of I listen to jazz a lot, classical playlists and things. Mine now
Yeah.
focuses changed on my mood. Like I can put on a playlist
Okay.
for like mid morning and it might have some different types of music. So I
Okay.
can't so I can't really pinpoint to albums anymore because I don't listen to just one artist.
Is there
You
a
know,
song? Then is there a particular song you think has been way overrated? Wow, how did that ever sell as much as it has or anything like that?
I don't know.
Is there a song or an album that you really like that you think people would be surprised that you like? That if somebody you said it out loud, people would be like, wow, I'm surprised.
Back in the day, I was obsessed with 50s music. And I used to love when we would have 50s day at our assemblies. And we'd wear our poodle skirts and we would have our routine. I love 50s. And my parents at the time, those big consoles that
Yes.
were like huge and would have the turntable and you put all your albums in. And I
They
would sit
take up
through
a whole
there.
wall.
They take up the whole wall. Yes. And I used to love playing Nat King Cole or like
Oh,
albums that were like 50s, whatever, and smoke gets in your eyes. And I would just be I
yeah.
would and so people probably wouldn't think I would like that, but I was, like, obsessed with 50s music back in the day.
Any particular one or just all of them? All the 50s
Um,
you love?
like, there was an album, I can't remember the album, it was, like, the best of them or whatever, and I remember "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes." I think that's the Platters
Yeah.
were on that.
Do you still have
Uh,
that album?
it was my parents, and when my parents broke up, I don't think they kept
Oh,
all of those in my parents' divorce.
that's
Yeah.
too bad. What's a record that means the most to you? That's like in your collection that you're like, the house is burning. I want to get this one when I'm running out of the house.
To tell you the truth, I was going through a lot my senior year with my boyfriend and my parents divorcing when I was in high school. And Loose Ends, I don't know if you listen to R&B or back then, but Loose Ends is one of my favorite groups.
Okay.
And back when we were juniors and seniors, MTV came out.
Yes.
So I was really into watching and looking at the choreography. And I didn't put that on my background, but I taught with
Yeah.
Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
So I was asked to teach cheer and dance camps in California. And that's where I met Paula Abdul. And I at first I wanted to be a performer and all that kind of thing. But Loose Ends, there was a song and it was Hanging on a String.
Okay.
And that was one of my favorite songs. I hear it today. It's one of my favorites. I still probably can find the little cassettes
Yeah.
or used to have a cassette converter, an 8-track converter in my car. And you put the cassette in it and you push it in and have my little equalizer in my Nissan Sentra. It was just crazy. But Loose Ends is just one of my
All-time
favorite,
favorite.
all time favorites. Hanging on the String was the
Wow.
song.
That's a great choice.
And of course, I just felt like I was hanging on a
Yeah.
string for years.
I miss MTV a lot. I wish it would start
Yes.
playing
Yeah.
music. I want to start the petition for that.
You can even just do reruns of it and then have maybe 2 hours of new music, but we used to have parties and just sit around
Yes.
with beer and watching Michael Jackson, of course.
Yes.
Off the Wall was like, we would be in our cars going to games that we would do dances called car dance when we would go to
Yes.
games. So we would have our pom-poms and we would be like on the
Yes.
ceiling of the car and we'd
Yes.
do a car dance. And Michael Jackson was always on, Pretty Young Thing. Do do do
And
do. We're on.
how many of us used to record Thriller and know that dance
Oh
and
my
wait
God.
for the
Michael
extended
Jackson
version?
says that was just, I mean, other
And
than,
us kept pausing to record Thriller
oh
on
my
VHS just
gosh.
to learn
I
how.
performed Thriller. Michael Jackson was hands down,
Yes.
to me, the best artist of our time.
And for dancing?
That
Yes.
for
Yes.
all time.
Yes.
The creativity, choreography, movies, all of that.
MTV
Anything
was
that goes,
made for him to be able
oh,
to do it all. And we used to be
costumes, makeup, sound, all of that.
we were riveted to the screen with MTV. I
Oh
I
yeah.
used to I used
And
to put it
VH1.
on. Yes. Yes. I used to put it on in the background and just go about my day because
Yeah.
it was so soothing. It was better than the radio, right? It was just we could just hear it, we could watch it. It was so comforting to just have those
Yes.
videos on.
Yeah,
And
just sit there and just veg out and just be like,
yes,
oh,
yes,
Tom Petty,
yes,
just thinking of
yes,
just, oh my
yes.
gosh, you could just relate. It was just,
Yeah. I even knew people who made some of those videos here in town, and some
oh
of them were even
wow.
and some of them were even in high school who were making those videos and shooting them here in town. And some of the videos, the people would come to town, do their concerts, and then go downtown or different places in Vegas, shoot in Vegas after 2, 3 in the morning when it was a little more dead
Wasn't as
as far as
crowded. Yeah.
tourists
Yeah.
go. Wasn't as crowded, but it's just, I mean, a great time to be alive and a great time to be creative.
Creative.
And what a
Yeah.
creative outlet. I miss the MTV video days so
Oh,
badly.
oh,
Let's start that.
Paula Abdul. So when I danced with her, I was at Arizona State now and going to college and I cheered there and I was on the dance team there. And I got a call back and she said, do you want to come? I'm going to do the first video for Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately?
I
And
love
I'm
her.
like, so I talked to my mom, and my parents are divorced now. I talked to my mom, and she was like, your dad will, you can't leave school to go to California to go do this. Because it wouldn't have been like just a couple days. It'd probably be months of choreography and filming. And I was an engineer major at the time, and I had to turn it down. So when the video came out and all my buddies were on it, and it's on MTV. I was heartbroken. First, I was like following the advice of my mom and my dad, scared could not do my passion in because nowadays kids would do it
Mhm.
no matter what your parents. And but my parents were old, they're old school. They're like, you need to be doing this, education and blah. I understand where they were coming from and being African American as well. And this is new to us, videos and choreography and music on the TV. I get it. But I always regret not having a voice to make my own decision because I would have been that path. I'm telling that my path would have been performing.
Different. Yeah.
It would have been that probably would have changed my life being on that video because now I would have done other videos and gotten to that circuit.
And we were that generation where we followed the rules. We were supposed
Yes,
to
both
Yeah.
we
follow
did
the
what
rules,
our parents and
do
do
what we were
said.
told. Do what
Yeah.
we were told. Yeah. I think you should call Paula Abdul and tell her we want
Now
to
she doesn't
restaurant.
even remember me.
Maybe.
I'm just like, I'll say something. We did Thriller. She was dating Jermaine when we were so we're in Pasadena and we're teaching at Santa Barbara or something. And we had been drinking. I don't know if you can say this because
Yes,
this
you
is
can. Sure
I
you
don't
can.
know. But we had been partying and she was dating Jermaine and we all got in the car and we did because we taught Thriller, I think, at one of our camps or something. And we did Thriller. He wasn't home. Jermaine wasn't home. And so the guard knows her, of course. We're in Pasadena. And we jumped out the car and did Thriller in front of the camera so they could see us do Thriller.
I
It was,
love it.
my gosh.
I love it. I'm sure if you called her, she would know. She would
Well, I
remember.
tried to talk to her. She was a judge for the Raiderettes. And
Yeah.
the high roller, the team, the senior team I'm on, we were the entertainment at America's Got Talent, the Luxor or
Yeah.
whatever. So we were on stage. And so I was going to approach her to try to talk to her to ask her, do you remember me at all? And she was talking and then she had left before I could. And going through her social media and stuff, I tried to reach out, but I know she has probably a manager looking at things. And I was
Yeah.
like, if you could please let her know I'm trying to reach out. And nothing. I tried. We did Footloose together. Remember Footloose?
I do.
Yeah, we did a
Yeah.
whole routine, Footloose and things, but yeah.
Yeah. Vegas is Vegas. I really believe locals, Vegas, we're 6 degrees from each other. I really do. You know, somebody within 6 feet, but we're totally 6 degrees in Vegas. We really are. So, is there a song or album that you love that you think isn't liked by popular consensus?
Right now,
Just, or, yeah.
like I referred to before,
Okay.
probably loose ends because I liked what people probably would not think is that I liked so many different various types of music only
Okay.
because of being in ballet companies. I can listen to classical, I can listen to jazz, I can listen
Yeah.
to Broadway, and then I can listen to reggae and get high over here. And then so I
Do
really
you have a,
can't go ahead.
okay. Do you have a song that you think is the sexiest record?
The sexiest
Yeah. Is a really sexy record?
back in the day, it was Juicy Fruit. Do you remember Juicy Fruit?
Yeah, I do.
And my mom would be like, "Why do you like that song?"
That's, she wants you to analyze it.
She was like, "Why? I don't understand why you like that song, Juicy." But oh gosh, those nowadays, at least back then, they tried to say it in a way where you didn't know what they were talking about. Nowadays, it's just outwardly sex.
Yeah. We had a little bit of innuendo.
So nowadays, you just listen to the radio and you're like, I can't even believe that they're even saying it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Miss Janet had a little bit of, she was a little forward in her day.
Yes, yes, she was. Yeah.
She was very forward for her time.
Oh, oh gosh, another one of my all-time favorite albums was Tribe Called Quest. Tribe Called Quest was they're back east, but I still like the way they groove. I was like, I don't care they're back east. They got
Yeah.
on.
They had some
Tribe
good
Called
beat. Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest. And I noticed I tell my children these days, I'm like, you guys think that song is new? It is not new. They're thinking like all this beat and whatever is new. Nothing is new. I can't hear one of your songs. I know I'm gonna hear the beat. I'm going to hear something where it's sampled and you don't even know. That song is not new. I walk on by one of their favorite artists, and I like her too, is Doja Cat. She's
Yeah.
very sex, whatever. But a lot of her songs, I was like, walk on by, that's Dionne Warwick.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I played it to him. I was like, dude, someone needs to hear me singing. Walk on by. You know, I can't say. They're like,
Yes.
mom. And I'm like, are you guys kidding?
Dionne
You
Warwick.
guys are you have no creativity. No.
I am convinced, and I've been watching a lot of contemporary TV over the summer. I'm
Mhm.
convinced a lot of the soundtracks and things, they're all remakes of our childhood. The
Mhm.
80s was the best time for
The
music.
80s. The
They're
80s
all
was pivotal.
remaking
It
our
started
music.
80.
Yes.
Yes. Our
Yes.
time was pivotal time. I tried to tell the kids.
Yeah.
MTV came out, Michael Jackson, even Blondie. I told the kids Blondie is the first. When we heard her, we were like, huh? And saw her video, we were like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah. She was one of the first punk artists to actually make it from punk to mainstream. And
Yes.
they don't realize how huge that
Oh
was
my
because
gosh.
she got radio play. Punk never got radio. Was
I
big.
mean,
Was huge.
Blondie was, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
What
that was
was,
huge.
is it Robert Palmer? The one
Yeah,
video
Robert.
would had all the girls with the
Yes, pulled back,
pulled
slick hair
back. Oh my gosh. We used to play that all the
with
time
the
and
big
pretend like we
red
are
lip.
it and going like that.
With the big red lips.
Didn't mean
Yeah.
didn't mean to turn you on. That was a sexy one. Didn't mean to turn you on. I'm
Yeah.
wow. I could talk about oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
All the 80s music was so good, so good. So if you had to pick a song that you
Uh-huh.
think represents vintage Vegas, do you think there's a song or that you have a song in your head?
Rat Pack. Luck be a lady.
Luck Be a Lady.
I
It's
love
sung
that
by,
song. Luck
okay,
be a lady tonight.
okay.
I can't sing. I should have had
Right.
singing. But Luck be a lady. I think it was the Rat Pack part of their Viva Las Vegas. Everybody plays that, but Luck be a lady. Fly away with me. Come fly away. Luck be a lady. That's what I would say. Because you can read that in different ways.
Yeah,
You can,
yeah.
Mhm.
What is one Vegas artist album that you think everybody should have in their collection?
Oh gosh. And see, going back to, I don't do one albums any, and I'm
Okay.
really more into live music and jazz. And you're going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but there is twofold. There is, I don't know if you ever go to its free jazz series. They've been doing at the Clark County Amphitheater for years. The free jazz, it's 6 weeks. They always start off with LBA Las Vegas Academy, the arts, and their jazz band and their singers are pristine.
Okay.
If you haven't heard them, you need to go on the site and listen. Singers all the way to all the instruments, they are pristine.
Okay.
And they actually come on before the main artists, but they sound like they are the artists. So I could see they're renowned and you need to look up. But I really been trying to seek out jazz local artists. And there is a trio now that I've seen at Gambit Henderson. I've seen them. I don't think they've been to Vix. Have you been to Vix yet?
No, but I've been to
You
Myra.
need to
Have
go
you
to,
gone to have you gone to
yes,
Myra?
yeah. But
Okay.
Vix is across the way
Yes.
and it has the sign, the cowboy sign.
Yes. Yeah. Vegas
Okay.
Fix.
And wait,
Yeah.
guess who owns it that I found out when I went in there?
Okay.
Chris Loudon.
Seriously?
I'm totally serious. So
Oh,
I go in there and the kids are like, and I was like, oh my God, I knew your sister because she was younger than me. She passed. But he has one of his house or one of his places of living is where my kids live right across from the Smith Center. So
yeah.
they've taken me. They're like, Mom, you would love this place. Big, they have live jazz. And I was like, oh my gosh, your owner, Chris Loud. And we follow each other now. And I'm like, Chris, oh my, and he owns Stonies. I was like, you own Stonies and Vicks?
What?
I
I
said,
didn't know that.
okay. Yeah. And there's a trio. I forgot. I wrote it down because they're really good, but you'll see them because they're like the trio that people hire for a main event person that will
Okay.
come and use them. and it's Uligeis, probably German or something. Uli Jensen Kur something trio.
Okay.
GeisennE
I'll have to look at that.
Uli. But I've seen them and they're really good. So they're probably on a lot of people's albums.
Okay.
I'm sure they might even have their own.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
last time I was down by Myron's. It's been a while. Vic's was not quite open. It was just getting ready to open up. So
Oh,
it's
it
it's been a
is.
minute since I've
And
done
what
one.
Denise, you and I need to meet there
Yes.
and have a
Yes.
cocktail, listen to some live jazz.
Yes.
And
Because
it's all
I
vintage.
love,
Vintage
yeah.
Vegas stuff is all over it.
I
Pictures.
love
Oh my
that.
gosh. Slot
Yeah.
machines from way back. You would love
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
It's right up your alley.
And one of the reasons I like going to New Orleans is just because the music is in the air in New Orleans. I swear you could just reach out and
Grab
grab
it.
the music.
Yes.
And I love to go to New Orleans for the food and the music because I can just walk from street to street and
Street.
just
Yep.
love mu-
I wish Vegas was like that.
yes,
I wish downtown they could
yeah,
make it into something like that.
just the music. And I
Just the
think
music.
we'll grow into our own because every neighborhood in New Orleans is like that. It has its own feel, its own
Yeah.
different kind of musical feel from street to
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
You just breathe it in. And Vegas is, to me, is closer to that. It's like you feel the tempo, the percussive tempo.
Mhm.
It- at least I do, because maybe just being here for so long, because Louis Prima was from Vegas, and we've had the Rat Pack and people like you've said, and I feel it in the neighborhood. I can feel it in my heart.
Mhm.
And places like this and that vintage Vegas has that vibe. I'm waiting.
I wish we could develop it more somehow.
I'm
I don't
waiting
know.
for it to start thrumming in the air. It
Yeah.
needs to be there. It's
But
yeah,
I don't know if it would take off because of our industry. We're too touristy. They don't want to,
yeah.
I don't know.
We got to get enough of the artists to do it.
First Fridays is a good start.
It's a good start.
Good start.
And this is a good start. The Myrons, the Vegas mix, the things like that. We need to get Sal back down there. Vic needs to be reunited with Sal. What do you have going on right now? You're so busy, other than being back in shop and you're
Oh,
so
gosh.
dancing. Where can
Yeah,
people find you?
today was my first day back, and I just love the Smith Center. And we had our kickoff this morning at the Smith Center. So it was really
Okay.
nice. It was a nice event. So yeah, we're first day trying to get back in the swing of things, like back to the grind. So I had to wake up early. I've been sleeping in. But yes, I've been really involved lately with my kids. They are both in medical school, so I am really trying to support them right now. And you know how I'm also now a professional dancer for the WNBA. Are saying that right. But so I have practices and I have games and things that I have to do with that, which is totally exciting. But my kids, they really need me right now on my and support. So a couple days a week, I'll go over and I cook for them so they can concentrate on their studies and what have you. Jackie is going to concentrate on, that's my youngest, on radiology. And my oldest is concentrating on OBGYN.
Good for her.
So I really try to, when I'm with my family, be present and not think about work and be present. I'm really trying to support them and get them off and running. This year in March, it will be match day. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Match day is the day, I don't know if it's globally, but I know in America is where everybody opens up their envelope and sees where they're going to where they're going to go for their residency
Okay.
because they don't know. So they apply and everybody opens up an envelope to see where they're going. So
So they
that's,
may not be here in Vegas when they do
yes,
the
they
rest.
might somewhere. Yeah. But she does want to come back and work in her community,
Good for her.
come back here. So I just been really in tune to making sure their mental health and everything, because it's very important these days, and make sure they're ready and do anything that I can. I'm a single parent, but I'm also so involved. They just text me like, Mom, make sure you get us tickets for the game on the 18th, because they support me as well when they can. I have a lot going on. Like I said, with in high school, that's a lot. And my birthday's coming up, so I got to start planning that. It's always Labor Day. Always
At
Labor.
least
Yeah,
you have a 3-day weekend to do that. Yeah.
yeah. I have a game on the 3rd, though, September 3rd. My birthday's the 2nd. So I'm going to ask everybody, come buy tickets to the Aces
Yeah.
games, and then we'll
Yeah.
party right after in Mandalay Bay.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll.
Oh, and by the way, do you know our band? Since you're a part of the band, we were chosen. I think Barry Manilow gave us, oh gosh, lots of money to get the whole band. So 4th of July, we were honored to be in the parade in
I
DC.
saw that. And he's so giving of this community. He
Yeah,
really, really
that
is.
was so nice. It was such an honor.
You have been such a treat. Thank you for being here, Miss Paula Perkins.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for being my guest today on Sin City Soundwaves.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. Please recommend us to all your friends and colleagues.
Make sure to follow the Sin City Soundwaves podcast on our social media at Facebook, Instagram, Linktree, and X. Sin City Soundwaves podcast is a production of Thirsty Sin Productions, created, hosted, mixed, and engineered by Denise Shaw, PhD, produced and written by Denise Shaw, PhD. Find out more about former and upcoming Sin City Soundwaves podcast episodes and our sponsors on all social media platforms through the Sin City Soundwaves podcast link tree.